Hey guys, welcome back to Crawl TV. Today is our 30-day anniversary with Dozer here since we bought him. So today we're going to be doing the CB radio install. It's a Cobra 75 WX-ST. It's the same radio system that we unboxed and posted a couple weeks ago, and now we're going to show you how to install that in your Jeep. We have the doors taken off to show you with a couple better camera angles how we're going to get in there and do all this. Not necessary for the install, but we got everything else laid out, tools and parts. So we are ready to get started. Now the first thing that we want to do prior to tearing the dash apart up front is actually disconnect the battery. The reason that we do that is just to avoid setting the airbag off and, blowing ourselves back into the driver's seat or passenger seat. So quick fix, 10mm wrench, and disconnect it for 2 minutes, and then we'll get started. Okay. Now that the battery's been disconnected, what we want to do is remove that plastic piece right here underneath our steering column, which is actually just a clip-in. So all you need for that is a flathead screwdriver. And then once that's out, we are going to remove the air vents, power window switch module, and then we have 4 7mm screws to remove to get this dash piece out of here. Okay, so we've got our flathead screwdriver, and we're going to want to remove this panel here. So we'll rotate our steering wheel up as high as it'll go. And all we have to do is really wedge in there, pop this stuff out on either side of the top. If I can get this set here, there we go. Now that the tops are disconnected, we just kind of pull down and unclip the rest of it, and this whole piece comes right out. All right, now to remove the air vents, you'll need a small flathead screwdriver. And you'll actually open these up, rotate them to about the 11 o'clock position, and inside of it you'll see just a small tab that you can stick your screwdriver inside of, and you got to wedge it back in there just a little bit, and then when you push down on it, it'll unlock. You can actually rotate this air vent. Okay, now as you can see here, there's a small opening there where I put my screwdriver. But the reason that we rotate it to that 11 o'clock position is because it has to line up here on the inside. So you can see as it rotates, boom, it lines up, and you can stick your screwdriver in to actually push that latch down to unlock this as you turn it. And if you don't do that, you risk breaking this small tab by just forcing it open. So we've got our 3 air vents removed on the driver's side and the 2 in the center. We didn't have to remove the one on the far driver's side here. Passenger side. Thanks for the catch there. So we got those out. We've got our lower steering column panel out. And now we need to remove the window switch. Now for this, we really don't need any tools. We can just kind of pull it out with our fingers, and it just pops right out. And once you get this out, you can see a small red tab here. I don't want to get too much in your way of the camera, but you just kind of push that up with a small flathead screwdriver like that. And then it's just a simple push and pull, and you've got your switches removed. We have 4 7mm screws to undo within the dash panel itself. There's one here right behind where your switches were. There's one up here beneath this rubber insert here, and then we've got one on either side of the steering column. Now you won't be able to see me remove this one from where our camera's at, but I'll remove these 2, and then this lower one and this one up top. The next part to get this thing disassembled is actually to just remove this whole dash bezel. This is all one big piece here. So we just stick our hands in these air vent holes and actually pull back. You're going to need to give it a little bit of force. There's a clip on either side here, and just kind of pop it out there. And then as you work it up, the whole thing will unclip. And there goes your dash. Now that we have the dash bezel removed, the next piece that we remove is a cluster bezel here. So we'll just pull this down, and then we have to unplug all the wiring behind this to actually get this piece out. So just pull down. It always sounds bad because everything's unclicking and it sounds like you're just ripping your Jeep apart, which, I mean, I guess technically you are, but you can see that that actually comes apart. Unplug. Oh, can't see back here. Pull the gauges out really quick. There we go, now I can see. Unplug. Unplug. And lastly, and this is the most important one for us for this video, unplug. So now we've got the cluster bezel out and we're ready for our next step. Now we can move on to the glove box, which is really easy to pull out. We're just gonna unbuckle. And you got 2 pins that stick out either side, so you just pull inward like that, rotate it back, and all of your mess of paperwork and everything comes out in one piece. Now we can actually feed our new wiring in through here and up to this 12-volt accessory line and pull it out the bottom here for our CB radio. Now this new wiring basically just sucks power off of your 12-volt adapter. This plugs into your cigarette lighter, and this will plug into the old plug-in for that. So we'll just feed it through the dash here, pull it in this side, like that. And that's all we need to do to hook these up. These white will go together with the other white and snap in just like that. And now this black connector that's on our pigtail will plug back into that outlet and take the place of the old white one. Okay. Now that we have our wiring pigtail plugged in, we can actually hook up the power and ground from our CB radio box. That's this piece here. This will connect to your actual CB unit. This end will connect to the antenna like I showed you in the unboxing video. And this black wire will connect to the brown wire here, and the red wire will connect to the red. So it will look just like this, black and the brown, red and the red. And we'll just tighten these down here, and then that'll be all set. We've got an inline fuse here, and that glass fuse I showed you in the unboxing here. Okay. So these wires are actually tightened down inside of this white housing by these small flathead screws here. So we get a small flathead screwdriver, insert it, and we actually just tighten them down. Okay, so we've got the connection box for the CB mounted right here behind the dash. We'll show you a photo to give you a reference of what we're talking about. But basically the reason that we did that and mounted it in that direction is so that the antenna screw is going to be facing outward toward the passenger door. And that gives us the ability to run the wiring right up the passenger side, in behind the dash, and screw it directly in. It's up above the floorboard so it won't get wet, and it's nicely concealed behind and out of the way so that nobody has to look at it. Alright, now everything is set up to plug it all back together. So it's all reverse order. So now all we're going to do is put it all back together the exact same way we took it apart. And we'll have that extra power tap for the CB. Hey, we're back. It's a new day. As we were finishing up that last video, the weather kind of rolled in on us and we had to hurry up and get the doors and top back on. But we're going to finish up now with the CB radio antenna and the cable to run it up there, and then we'll plug everything in and get that mount hooked up to put the CB on it. So we'll start up front. To install this bracket made by CFE products, we actually have to remove this centerpiece here and then pull out 2 8mm bolts and then slide these underneath them. They're going to go in just like that behind this grab handle. So the first thing you have to do is get a flathead screwdriver, pry up underneath of this just very gently because it's very soft rubber up here, and just kind of pop this out just like that, nice and easy. Don't want to break anything. There we go. I got a deep socket here with a one inch extension, and that's actually just long enough to reach. The bolt that holds this grab handle on is pretty deep in there, so we'll get right in there. You can see how far back those things actually go. All we're going to do now is put our CB mount on this one, and then on the opposite one we'll just put the other bracket and plug it right back in. We've got to get our screws again. You're going to want to hold these brackets in place just a little bit because they are going to move around, but not a whole lot. And again, if you want to buy these are made by CFE products. They've taken all the guessing work out of it and put some pretty good stuff together for you. So if you ever want to do an installation similar to this, all you have to do is go online. I actually got these off of quadratech.com. And it's a plug-and-play system, so you don't have to do any kind of hacking into your Jeep in order to get your mounts in place. And when we're all done with this, it's going to look really good. Last step, just snap this back into place. Voila! Now part of the kit from CFE products is actually this metal bracket that comes with a grommet and two bolts and nuts to actually secure it to the inside of your vehicle. What this does is it conceals all this excess cable from your CB radio that you may not exactly want to see. So we decided that we're going to mount this down here in this lower corner, nice and out of the way. So we're just going to do a little bit of drilling in order to get that set, and then we'll run the cable right through it. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of mock this up. Right there. Run a couple holes through it. Hold that in place, and one more. I'll mark my true center of it and then give it a whirl with this. Now, this is actually not supposed to be used on plastic, but it'll work just fine for us. So I'll pick the exact center of it. Okay. Voila, we have a perfect circle. Now I'll run the bracket on with the hardware. We're going to hang the CB radio up, and we have to run this metal end through it first. Now we can grommet it. Grommeted. I'm actually going to pull one coil through. So now we've got the new Cobra 75 WXST hung up on our CFE products bracket, and the cable actually runs down here along the passenger's left knee, plugs into this bracket that we set up with the grommet around the cable. Now on the other side of this piece of plastic, we've got the cable that runs down from the CB radio, and it plugs directly into that piece from the box that we set up earlier in the video behind that glove box. So we'll be back there one more time to set up the CB antenna, but otherwise these cables, as soon as they screw back together, these cables can tuck securely out of the way up here, and we have a nice clean factory look for it. And now all we have to do is hook up our 18-foot coax cable right behind the glove box, and we're going to wire it up through the pillar, across the roll bar, and down and out the back, and hook it up to the antenna. So if you remember from earlier in the video, we had the glove box pulled out, and we actually have to get back here and access this one more time. We've got our box set up back in there that this antenna will actually plug right into, like that. So we have to remove these panels to get into there and feed the wire through appropriately. So we'll just pop these out without leaving damage and scars. These are all just snapped pieces. They go in and out pretty easily. We've got this panel removed. Now we're going to actually run this cable down right below this speaker in here and then plug it in. So my head might be in the way for a little bit of this, but I'll try and stay out of your shot. Actually, I'm going to run the big part over the speaker, and then I'll pull it down. So to give you a better view of what we're looking at, I ran this cable here up in behind our speaker, comes out right here behind the screw, and then down and actually plugs into that box. So I'll try and get the camera back there to show you. I'll push this forward a little bit. So that's actually what it looks like in there, and we've got that nicely concealed behind everything. So we can push that back. The glove box can go back in, and then we'll start running this up and around the roll bars. Here, all we have to do is remove this pillar pod to get the wire to run back there, and then we'll start running it underneath the roll bars. Now to get this off, there's a small plastic Phillips head snap rivet that we'll pull out, and then we've got two Torx bolts. I think they're a T20 size, to get the sun visor off so that we can get that out of there. To get this piece out, you have to apply almost no pressure at all because those plastic screws do not want to back out. I got that out of there. Now we'll try and get these out. Right, like a glove. We're up to this spot. Pops out. We can run the rest of this wire here. Right there. Nice, happy wire. So now we're going to snap all of our plastic pieces back in to conceal this coax cable for the CB. And everything just goes in the same exact way it came out. It just snaps right in. Helps if you don't put things in upside down though. I wasn't putting it in upside down. There we go. There we go. Snap, snap, snap. piece. There's that plastic snap rivet again. We'll want to get that nice and skinny. It's got to go back in its home. And this just pops in. It's got teeth on it, pops right into your roll bar. So we'll line that up first. Okay. Snap rivet. Pull this Phillips screw back out. Now we just got to throw the sun visor up. That might help. Okay. There we go. Alright, now we're going to speed through this a little bit, but we're going to run this COAX CB radio antenna cable behind this roll bar all the way back to the back door. Now that we've got our coax cable coming out of our roll bar and run all the way back, we have to remove this rear subwoofer, and some Jeeps don't actually come factory with a sub. Either way, this plastic piece will have to come off, and it's generally the same bolts for it. So to do that, you're going to take your Torx bit, and I can't tell what this is. It's a T27. I'm just going to remove the two tie-down rings here on the back. With the tie-down rings removed, we're going to pull the rest of this flooring up. So that we can access the rest of this. And this whole assembly is kind of attached, moving together, but it does split right along here at the roll bar. So we pop that piece up here and just use a flathead screwdriver, it comes right up. I was hoping I could do this without removing everything. There we go. Now we can run this cable right down underneath here. And where this rope wire protector is, we're just going to run our cable right parallel with it. So we'll just set that up there. Snap this stuff back together now. Now that we've got our coax cable coming out from the roll bar and behind our sub here, we're going to run it behind this plastic piece in the door, through a hole on this end, and then we actually have a rubber grommet on the outside side of this door that we're going to pop it out of. We've got the spare tire removed to make it easier for us to access that. That's just 3/4 inch lug nuts if you're running stock wheels still to get that thing popped off. Now for this piece here, it's got snap rivets on the bottom, and then on the top it has these small plastic clips. If you try to remove this top first and you're not careful, you will break those clips, and then this thing will never secure tightly again. So we'll pull it off from the bottom first. You just grab it with your hands, pop those bottom pieces, and the top folds up and pulls out. You can see those plastic pieces here and how fine they are. So those are very easy to break. Now we can run the CB and coax antenna cable alongside of this wire here, and we'll actually zip tie this in so that it's secured. But we're going to fish it through this hole, and if you want to come around to this side of the door, you can see we have an actual rubber grommet here. This Evo CB antenna mount is going to go right here on our spare tire carrier. So if we pop this grommet out, we can run that cable right up here, right to the bottom of the antenna. I've got a coat hanger here, and what I'm going to try and do is actually fish this in this side. And if you want to come around this side here, I'm going to try and get the end of it stuck out of that grommet hole. Okay, I'll take this end of my fancy hanger tool, connect it to my antenna, I have no idea if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Maybe it'll come out backwards. Come on. Thanks, honey. We did it. Coat hanger, success. Okay, now we're gonna get this inside buttoned up again. We're gonna get all the zip ties put in, and then we'll put the mount and CB antenna on, and we'll be all finished up. All right. So I'm going to cut a small slit down this grommet that we pulled out of the door to run the wire through, because I want to put this back in and have the wire just run out of the center of it. So I'm just going to run a small slit right down the middle of it. And then I'll just cut a small circle out of the middle of it. We should be able to just pop that out. Nope. It's not going out without a fight here. There we go. Okay. Now that we've got a hole cut out of our rubber grommet, we're going to put it back on around this cable here. And I'm just putting it with the cut side down. Come on. All right, now with that grommet in, this will fit perfectly out to connect to our Evo CB antenna mount, and everything will line up just like it should. It's crazy. It's like they built this Jeep for off-roading. Now we're ready to put the Evo manufacturing CB antenna mount on the back door of the Jeep. Before we install it though, I wanted to attach the stud mount to it, so that's one less thing we have to do on the Jeep. Now to do this, we're just gonna unscrew the top part here. This is the part that your antenna will attach to. And we'll take these three washers. You've got a lock washer, a flat washer, and a polyurethane washer. And these are actually going to go on the top of the mount in that order. Polyurethane, flat, and then lock washer. And they're gone. So, to make this easier on myself, because I keep dropping things, I'll put the stud through it first. There we go. Now I'll attach this. I have butterfingers today. And it'll go just like that. The cable will connect here and the antenna will connect here. So we'll tighten these down to 5/8. Perfect. Now we're ready to mount this on the back. Now to get this mount on, we've got two 13mm bolts. We'll just remove them from the spare tire carrier. Okay, and the kit comes with these spacers to actually separate the bracket from the lip here on this tire carrier. So we'll put these back into the bracket, put the spacers on the other side, and then reattach them. Just like that. Absolutely perfect fit. Now, we'll attach the coax cable here. And let me tell you, I think I've already said it, you use every single inch of this cable. Our last step to get all this stuff installed is just to install our 4-foot by 5/8 inch Firestik antenna. This does come with a patented tunable tip on it, and we had a CB radio technician comment on one of our last videos about the tuning of this with an SWR reader. But for this model specifically, he is correct that no antenna comes pre-tuned, but for the Jeep JK with the spare tire mount, they actually come with instructions that just let us know that we can take this all the way down to 0 inches on the tuner, and that will be good enough for us. So without going out and buying an SWR reader, that'll get pretty dang close for us. So we'll just get this mounted up here on the stud mount. Get it tightened down. Okay, that's it. We are all finished up. We'll get the spare tire put back on, we'll put the hardtop and doors back on, and we can actually test this radio out. Everything's set up. Now we just have to turn it on and see if it works.
Forecast for the St. Louis metropolitan area.
Installation success. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to slap on one last sticker. It's something that my dad sent out from his company, Cobra. He organizes a lot of stuff down in Southern California, mostly on 2 wheels, but occasionally he lets us people on 4 wheels join him. Dad, hope we make it out for one of your events this year, but I'm going to slap this on the Jeep, and we will call this a day. Perfect. Now, we are all finished up with that CB radio install. That was a Cobra 75WX ST with a Firestik antenna. I want to say thanks to CFE Products and Quadratech.com for the parts, making it a very easy install. And that's all. Thanks for watching Frost TV. Grace, don't worry about dinner tonight. I got this.
You said we were going out for dinner.
Yeah, no, that was just for the viewers. I'm not going to catch anything.
Yeah, I'm still recording.
Oh, we can edit that out.